Hi, this is Ellen Farrell at Investor Q&A. Welcome. With us today, we have Sarah Sekalala of Siika Foods. She's operating out of Innisfield in Ontario. And when I saw some of her documentation about the business that she's building and that she's growing right now and the beautiful food that she was creating, I just knew that I had to talk to her. And so I have you here today, Sarah. Welcome. Thanks very much for being here with us.
Thank you, Dr. Len.
Yeah, you're welcome. Um, I understand some of your motivation came from, the kind of the culture shock of coming from another country. Tell us what that was like.
Um, so we came in Canada in 2001 in December. And so it was really first of all, the weather was a shocker to us. So coming in, I had my young family and my husband, two boys, and I was expecting another child. And so coming here, we had our jackets on, but coming here, we realized even those jackets were not, well enough. But the other thing which really was shocking was how much we had to depend on ourselves. Gone were the days of where we had all the help from back at home. Now we had to do our things ourselves. And so from the schedules, we say in Africa, there's a term normally people say there's no hurry in Africa. In Canada, it was a different thing. You are always on schedule, you are always on time. And so that was one of the other things that I discovered that I had to adjust, accordingly to really catch up. So definitely it was so different, but mostly we missed home. When you land into another country, now you suddenly realize how much you miss home. From the music we used to listen to the kind of ways we live, we could hardly reach out to another person, they live miles and miles apart from us. So it was really very difficult and we became really homesick, I would say. But also the food, there was not the food we were really used to. So it was so different the way we used to do things. So yes, there was definitely a culture shock.
And is that what motivated you to start a food company?
So when what I realized is that I had to really try to cook as similar foods as we used to eat back at home. And mostly because I enjoyed them, but also because my younger children were also used to that. Even though they had seen the different culture here, they would scream out for McDonald's, but would stick to what we used to eat at home. But the schedules were also catching up on us, trying to make sure we do different jobs, run schedules with the kids, but then having food on the table, I decided to just start making small batches of different things in my kitchen and leave them in the refrigerator. So when I come home, I would easily make meals quickly for the children and ourselves. But also, it was one of the things where, you go around in stores and say, hey, listen, I think we use this back at home. And I can become innovative and try to incorporate that and be innovative and make something for ourselves too. So, and that's how I started with the sauces. Slowly, small batches, I would make and put in my fridge in plastic jars, bring out and make my beans so fast or my stews. And then finally, friends were asking me, and now everybody's asking, Sarah, how do you make food at home every time with all the schedules? How can you afford to have food on the table while you're working as well? And that's, kind of shared my secret. And then sometime later, we decided between my husband, he was more the main bread earner, and I was staying at home, but I would make small batches and start selling in the community to get some small pocket money for myself. And then now come 2021, when COVID hits, after I decided to go, more and commercialize my products. And this is where Siika Foods is now.
Right. So just as you're kind of emerging into a bit of a commercial market, COVID hits,
Mhm.
but you're able to you kind of flourish a little bit during COVID or not?
Well, in during COVID time, it was one kind of the area where I say I should take this more on a serious, level because going into stores and noticing that even what we used to acquire from there wasn't available, it was one of the things I'm like, when I got the opportunity, I decided I have to put this just in case because it's one of those products or one of those flavors you want to keep in your pantry in cases. To me, it was at first emergencies, but now it was a necessity to have to keep such sauces in your pantry.
So a lot of food establishments were really, impacted by the pandemic, but for you, it was an opportunity. A, you had that time at home. B, people were buying things in grocery stores to be able to stock up, and that's where you are. Tell us about your presence in the retail market now. What kind of stores are you in, or what real retailers? How is that playing out for you?
So the way we're establishing our brand, because it was best of, first of all, I'll just go backwards a little bit because one of the other things which I noticed since 2000 up to now, we actually see statistically that we're growing to 1.3 Africans, African immigrants in just the GTA. To me, that was another opportunity. And all those African immigrants have stories to tell. And I'll back up quickly a little bit and just tell about a story which really is mine. Like coming back from Uganda in 2009 when I visited, I realized I had to pack a lot of stuff in my suitcase, but mainly there were the snacks and small spices and, kind of things I was grown eating back at home. And here I was at Pearson Airport trying to convince a customs officer that what I had carried in my suitcase, and one of them he was really insisting on was the cow ghee. Cow ghee is like a butter we use here, but the other one is different. And so here I was convincing him it was a body lotion just to bring a taste of home. And I do believe that I represent a big number of 1.3 tails because most of us have had our goods confiscated at the airport. And so I realized that need, but also the way we sell our products, especially as we're establishing our brand, is to be in that community. So we are selling most of our sauces in specialty stores in the GTA, but also trying to get into different community events. So churches, I would say politely that I attend churches not only to pray to God, but also to sell my sauces because that's where I find them. We're really good at doing that. And so we have a big presence in our community that way. I've also partnered with a great store in Toronto at Eglinton, Chakula Tam, and that's an East African store which brings in. They have been able now to access and bring in directly, ship directly from Uganda and the whole of East Africa and bring our products there. So partnering with them, they have my products as well integrated in them. And so we have our presence there. We're also developing our online e-commerce presence. And so our Shopify will be able to distribute that. But also with Chocolatam, they are distributing through their online e-commerce. And so we have that and also do a lot of farmers markets. But also we're now preparing ourselves as we're scaling up to have a more defined business to business model for ourselves as we're scaling up to see that we can be able to do a broader reach and also have more of a wholesale going as well for our business. So we're growing that way.
Mm-hmm. So African kind of defines the nature of the food, and I realized I was, compelled to talk to you when I saw what you referred to as a capability statement, and I'm not familiar with that terminology, capability statement. What is that?
Well, the capability statement, first of all, is a professional way of really getting that ourselves in the door to retailers. So as I say, I'm bringing in samples for you. It has been a professional documents whereby somebody can easily read and say, oh, these people are not just dreaming, they have something to offer. We have a value proposition on there, but also we encourage them to realize that, statistically, the trend is changing whereby grocers who do not have international kind of products, authentic products like us, are likely to be outdated. And there's a chance chance that people will be actually going more into these other stores where they actually can recognize that these people are carrying more products to, to a broader culture diversity we have in Canada.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I was attracted to the capability statement because it was so beautiful. I mean, it was really striking, to my palate, so to speak.
Mhm.
And I commented on that, and then I find out that you were formerly an interior designer,
Yes.
and so I don't know if other people who are not interior design, but you told me that you designed that capability statement yourself. So that's a great feature to be
But I had
involved.
a few set of eyes to really guide me. Like, we need to see more of this, or we need to see what we want to see. Meaning that what is going to attract someone to look at this? Just like you said, you looked at it and you felt it felt really well. But I felt like that one document could help me tell somebody right away what I stand for. And so it comes off that way. And I'm proud that you say it looks really good. But I also had some help.
Right. So you are a kind of client or colleague of the very good organization, a nationwide organization, Paro.
Yes.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, good. That's really interesting. And so, do you think most of your customers typically would they be from the African continent, or do you think people are looking at this on the shelves? Sometimes you put it out there. Sometimes you don't know who's actually buying it. But do you have any sense who's really buying what your beautiful few food products?
This is very interesting. I love Canada, one of them, because it's really everybody's here. It's a diversified economy. And that way it is embracing everybody. And I've seen people testing and trying out different things. So we have a group of people who are foodies, who are just ready to explore our products. And that's we're targeting very much. And they have I would say they're capable of buying our products. They're in position, they have the extra money to, I would say they have some extra income to explore into other areas. So we are targeting those very much. We're also looking at professionals because one of our thing or value proposition we're bringing on the table is that even though you know that it's very hard to make an African meal, for example, we've simplified the process. So we cut down on that process of somebody making meals in hours to make it in minutes. So we are grabbing those who are really wanting to explore that way, but also bring or create meals without that intimidation of how long they can do it. Then we're looking at professionals as well. People who really would want to have meals done at home. I mean, we treasure family time at home, but how can somebody be able to do that when they have busy schedules? Being one of those kind of mothers who had gone through that experience, I know how tough it is to put stuff like that on the meals on the table that first. So we are targeting professionals, we're targeting families as well, but mostly also the African immigrants, the Africans in the diaspora. It should be that kind of environment that reminds everybody, hey, we are all here and Canada is home.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we've got the foodies and we've got the African community, we've got the wider immigrant community and people who just kind of appreciate novel things. So that looks good. All right, that looks really good on you. You're kind
Mhm.
of seeing this group of customers from a wide variety. Now, you were part of the investor Q&A program where you actually, kind of train about representing your company well and talking about the key features of the company
Mhm.
and practicing out loud in a console and so on. What did you take away? What was your big takeaway from investor Q&A?
the first thing I'll say, sometimes when I'm approaching something new, it can become intimidating. And I'm so proud of this program, the way it was designed, that at first I tried to just jump into the questions and just really put in my answers that way. And I realized I wasn't performing well. Then I had to go back and say, you know what, I have to see what really happened. I reached out and I was advised, did you read that material, which was attached on there, the resources? I went back, used those resources, and I discovered a lot of things. First of all, I realized that when questions are given over to me, there's always a motivation behind it. It kind of got me to thinking to myself, how do I think about my business? But mostly I learned new terms. I knew there was aspiration concepts and then there were the obstacle concepts. All those things coming together, they made me realize I had to look at my business differently. And so the other one which really stood out, and now even when I recognize when somebody is presenting, is not putting down another competitor just to showcase my value proposition. I am very careful about that. And I think to me, it gave me a deeper understanding of how I come across as a business owner and as a leader. Then there was also really concepts where I was supposed to just really learn to concentrate on really market growth and expansion as compared to just thinking about my obstacles. But, in a way, like I can talk about my obstacles, but then I highlight my opportunities out there. So it was that whole, even though it was just a short period, I would say, for me to grasp everything. And, but I felt like I understood my business more and kind of became very conscious on how I stand out for my business. But then there was also building my confidence. When you sit in a room of investors, and then people give you feedback and they tell you what you need to work on, it really kind of gives me a different way on how to really receive any kind of critics or comments at a presentation. So as a leader, I think that makes me a better leader for my business, but also gives me that consciousness in the back of my mind on how I really need to come out for my business. So I thought
Uh-huh.
it was a very great thing for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that. In particular, some of the specific items, that you mentioned, and going back and looking at it and saying, okay, I have to do better at that.
Mhm.
And then just, really making a point of that, and a variety of other aspects as well. Sarah, thank you for coming here today and being with us from Siika Foods. I have with me Sarah Sekalala, and I encourage you to go to her website. The website is below here. You can see that. And so we'll look forward to seeing some of your products down in my area soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ellen.
Yeah, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.